Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemeyer Games. Today I'm talking about an older game that I used to have a lot of fun with and that I realized that I haven't talked about on this channel yet, and that is Boss Monster. Boss Monster is kind of this pixel art game where you are running a dungeon. So unlike pretty much every other dungeon crawl game out there, most other dungeon crawl games, instead of venturing into a dungeon, you are the creator of the dungeon. You are the dungeon, and you are trying to entice champions and heroes into your dungeon to destroy them, essentially. So you're enticing them in with things that they want, and then you're trying to ensure that you survive, that the dungeon itself survives, and in particular, the boss at the end of the dungeon survives. Boss Monster is a really clever game. I love this idea of flipping a genre on its head, and the gameplay in it is also extremely streamlined. The idea of just playing cards into your dungeon, creating this dungeon row of cards where the order of those cards really does matter, and bringing a hero into it, enticing a hero into this dungeon, and watching them kind of automatically try to deal with the challenges that you put out for them feels really good. The key tension in the game that I really appreciate, and so that's one aspect of the game that I just like, the whole idea that it flipped a genre on its head, and the way it does that you're creating a dungeon that not other players use, but NPCs use that dungeon, and each player is doing that. So there's that creation element. I like in games where you're building something, you're creating something, even if you win or lose, you have the satisfaction of building something interesting. But the core tension of the game, and perhaps my favorite mechanism in the game, is this dichotomy between enticing and surviving, because you need to try to survive the onslaught of heroes that will inevitably come into your dungeon. If they kill the boss at the end of the dungeon, then you lose. You can't win the game. However, you need to entice heroes into your dungeon to gain points. Like, that's how you gain points in the game, by enticing heroes in and destroying them and killing them, having your dungeon kill them. But those are the very heroes that could potentially kill your boss. And so there's this really nice push and pull here, really nice tension in that you want to put things in your dungeon that are good at enticing, but those things typically aren't very dangerous. And so you also need to put things in the dungeon that don't entice, but do kill, that do a good job of killing. So balancing out your dungeon itself between enticing and killing, and the tension of, do you actually want this particular hero to come into your dungeon? And deciding, because you get to see the heroes that are available to come out at any given time, and then you decide how you want to build simultaneously, how you want to add to your dungeon. That is a choice that you have every turn in the game. Like, how much do you want to entice versus how much do you want to protect your boss monster? But if you protect them too much, then you're not actually enticing anyone to get points. If you entice too much, then you threaten your boss monster. Really great tension here between those two elements. I love that design element of enticing versus surviving. I'm sure there are other games that do this. They're definitely, I can think of Vast. Vast is a game where one player plays as the cave, which I think is clever. But this tension between enticing and surviving, I've been trying to think of other games that do this, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. So let me know in the comments if you can think of any other games that have this nice dichotomy between scoring points and simply surviving. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Or if you've played Boss Monster more recently than I have, it has been a while for me, let me know your favorite mechanisms in the game as well. I'd love to hear them. Thanks.